Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to be showing off 30 tips and tricks that you need to learn in Fortnite Chapter 3. You guys most likely know I used to do these videos semi-regularly back when Fortnite actually had content in it. Therefore, because there is a whole new Fortnite chapter for us to explore, I decided to bring it back. These tips and tricks that I'm going to showcase will include everything from new rotation methods to different piece control moves to even certain setting options that I purposely left out of my recent guide. So make sure to drop a like if you enjoy the video. I promise you guys, if you watch the whole thing through, you will learn at least one new thing. I promise you. And you'll also see some pretty cool examples in the video. Thus, I hope you guys learn a lot, and without further ado, let's get right on into it. Alright, so to start off, our first few tips are all going to revolve around the new sliding feature, beginning with a helpful trick I picked up from Resub. The tip itself is to break the habit that you have of sliding then jumping at the end of it. This is something that most of us have muscle memory for already, and that's because for the last two chapters, we have gotten used to crouching, then pressing our spacebar or jump key to uncrouch. Funnily enough, I actually talked about that crouch spamming strategy in my original 30 tips and tricks video. I showed off Mongrel doing it, and that's how we did it so fast. However, as Resub pointed out, that strategy is not optimal in Chapter 3 with sliding. What you should be doing instead is holding your crouch button to slide, then to get out of it, pressing your crouch button again. Not only does this crouch cancel strategy reduce the time it takes to stop moving, which, by the way, is very useful since it makes it quicker to line up a shot or even just to start crouching and sliding again. But what it also does is it stops your momentum completely, making it almost impossible to fly off your builds like you normally would. So again, stop finishing your slides with a jump. I know it feels awkward to not do that, but trust me, get used to pressing your crouch button again, and you will be so far ahead of the meta. Tip number 2 is kind of the opposite. It is to practice jumping after sliding off your builds. Reddit user OldPlayer made a very cool video on this, and I know it's basically what I said not to do, but what he pointed out was you can jump in midair after you slide off your builds. I'm pretty sure he called it the Mario jump, which is kind of fitting. You're kind of double jumping in a way, and this makes it really useful for specific side jumps as well as different high ground retakes. Third tip, still on the sliding ones, is to be aware that sliding is just as fast as running. It does not matter if you slide and then slide cancel. It doesn't matter if you slide and jump. Sliding is the same exact speed as running the whole time, except for when you're going downhill. Momentum matters, people. And speaking of momentum, one of the best ways to get instant added momentum as you slide is to slide as soon as you hit the ground after gliding. All you need to do for this to happen is hold down your sliding button while you're in midair, like literally hold it down as you're gliding. And while nothing is going to happen at first, as soon as you touch the ground, you are going to instantly slide insanely fast. Now, let's say you're having trouble with misclicking your slide button or even just using the slide mechanic in general. For that, we have tip number 4, which is to go to your settings, scroll over to the controller options page, and look at your slide hold time. For this part, I'm gonna hide my face cam, that way you can actually see it. It is this setting right here that says slide hold time, and even though it's on the controller options page, it does in fact work for keyboard and mouse as well. Anyways, how this setting works is it adjusts the amount of time it takes for you to hold down your crouch or slide button before you actually start sliding. For example, the default is 0.15 seconds, meaning from the time I start holding down my crouch button, left shift, it will take a total of 0.15 seconds before my character starts sliding. My recommendation for this setting is to not go any higher than the default. In fact, I actually recommend using the lowest possible value of 0.1 seconds, and the reasoning for this is why pros use the Apex Pro TKL. That keyboard allows you to use the highest possible actuation, aka the lowest response time switch, and they do that since it offers them the most control and the highest possible skill ceiling. 0.1 seconds is the meta. With that stuff settled, we can finally move on to the more advanced stuff, like the ability to strafe sideways while you slide. In order for this to work, you either need to be on controller, or you have to have a double movement program installed while on keyboard and mouse. I'll put up my video for how to install double movement programs. If you're not using one by now, I really don't know what you're doing with your life, but you need double or just normal controller movement for this to work. Then what you do is you simply run and strafe sideways, go as far to one side as you can. I personally use 100% 100%, but you can also do one key strafing and go sideways. Then you're gonna slide, and after that, you're not gonna press anything else. A lot of people seem to think that you need to hold down your movement keys as you slide. I don't blame them because that's just natural, but that is actually tip number 6. You do not want to press your movement keys a lot as you slide. Reason for this is it won't do that much. Like, unless you're going downhill, you only move a tiny bit by pressing your movement keys as you slide. And on top of that, not pressing your movement keys while sliding actually frees up your movement key fingers, and it allows you to do a lot more stuff. Stuff like editing, building, establishing piece control. All of those things are made way harder if you press down your movement keys while you slide. So don't do that. Third to last sliding tip, we're gonna rapid fire these so we can move on to the non-sliding ones. And it is that you can slide in any direction, including backwards. All you have to do for this is either hold down your movement key initially before sliding, not while you slide. Do it before you slide, kind of like when you strafe. Or you could just do what I said in the last tip, which is to not press anything, but just move your camera around so you're basically going backwards. You could look anywhere you want. Oh, and did you know that sliding actually tightens the spread of both your AR and your shotgun? Take a look at the crosshair difference on your screen. Pretty crazy, right? Final sliding tip, yet only general tip 9 out of the 30, is that you can fully slide through doors without losing any momentum. Who doesn't love sliding in Fortnite? Onto the non-sliding tips, let's talk about the fact that the new Spider-Man mythic can actually be used as a harpoon. You just aim it at any loot nearby you, or actually any loot up to 120 meters away, and it will act as a harpoon, bringing in any sort of loot one by one. And guys, before you say, why would I use that? Well, the Spider-Man mythic is currently in arena, in scrims, and in tournaments. So for now, utilize it to your advantage, just as you see Riftmill doing in this clip. Moving on to my personal favorite tip for the new season, it is to abuse the heck out of coolers. I talked about coolers in my landing spot video, and I kind of thought that everyone knew about them, but then I saw Ninja playing Fortnite, and he straight up ran by a cooler without opening it or even acknowledging it. Now, what coolers do is they basically act like ammo boxes, except instead of dropping ammo, they drop either chug splashes or guzzle juice. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could get up to 4 chug splashes from one cooler, and the craziest part is they have a 100% spawn rate. On your screen now is a picture of all the different cooler locations around the map. You can see that most of them are located on the east side, which I guess makes sense because the whole west or left side is cold. Coolers are for hot temperature areas, but like I said, these coolers will be in the same exact spot every single game. Make use of them accordingly. Trick number 12 is, you guys know the big log trees that Epic added this season which fall over? Well, those trees actually target your opponents. That means no matter what side of the tree your opponent is on, as long as you're the one shooting it down, it is always going to fall on the side nearest them. Always. And since we're on the topic of these new choppable trees, yes, you can stand on them and you could use them to get across water. I'm not sure if Epic intended for this to happen. I assume they did because they showed people fighting on these trees in the trailer. But if you ever need a fast rotate and swimming is just too slow, try log riding in the water instead. Over to tip 14, I have the new and easiest way to kill the Foundation NPC. By now, you guys know, the Foundation NPC at the Sanctuary holds the mythic MK7, and he is ridiculously hard to kill. Therefore, a much easier way to eliminate him, especially for solos where you just cannot do it alone, is to build up a fair amount, get a harpoon, and then harpoon him up and make him take fall damage. As you can see, he will actually take a ton of fall damage. You can kill him in one go if you do it correctly, and this is much easier than using your gun.
But Jerian, what happens if I can't find a harpoon?
Well, little Timmy, if you just walk down to the beach near the Sanctuary, you should be able to find 5 to 10 different fishing barrels, all which have a possibility of dropping a harpoon. Halfway through, another NPC tip for solos is to utilize the 7 vault guards when trying to open the vault. All you need to do is knock one of the guards. Don't knock both of them. I'm gonna explain why. Just knock one, pick them up, and carry them over to the vault, and the vault will open since it's gonna scan both of you guys. Be aware though, like I just said, you cannot knock both of them. If you knock one, the other one is just gonna insta-die, and then they both will die. So if you knocked one, don't knock the other. Just take the knocked one straight to the vault. Another useful yet really overlooked tip is in regards to the auto shotgun. And yes, boys, I know I have said how bad the shotgun is. It is really bad. Not only does it do no damage, but it takes forever to reload. And the tip is actually in regards to how that works. You see, if you pay attention attention to the way the auto shotgun reloads, you're gonna realize it reloads 2 bullets at a time. This means if you get interrupted while reloading, you're most likely not gonna have any ammo since it takes longer as it's reloading 2 different bullets. Thus, whenever you get that piece of crap gun, make sure you pay attention to how much ammo you have, and make sure you take extra time to reload it since it's 2 bullets or shells at a time. Tip 17 is that you can technically fly on the quad crashers. It's not quite the same as it used to be in chapter 1, but all you need is a little elevation. You could use either a rock or a ramp with a wall, and from that, you could rotate pretty dang far. Oh, and that reminds me, tip number 18 is to try out visual sound effects since they buffed it, and you can now see things that are really far away. Epic was pretty smart about this buff. They made it so visual sound effects is no longer on 2D audio. It used to be that way, but now it's 3D, which is the same as your normal audio if you did not have visual sound effects on. And as I just mentioned, they made it so you can see reboots, so you can see footsteps, so you can see people in cars from ridiculously far away. To even prove how broken it is, Booga is using it, and that is who you've been watching in all these clips with visual sound effects. Moving on, let's talk about being knocked and all the different tricks that come with it. In Fortnite Chapter 3, you can do a lot more than you could in the past while in the downed but not out state. You can bounce off spider webs, you could actually attach to the zip line and run away from your opponents, you could open doors, you could drop items that you have in your inventory, you could pick different items up, you could even get picked up faster by your teammates if 2 or more of them revive you or reboot you at the same exact time. Not too shabby, right? By the way guys, I counted the last one for 3 or 4 different tips. Sue me if you want, but I think it's fair. Either way, something important to know about this chapter is that Guzzle Juice has gotten buffed. They made it so Guzzle Juice will refill your HP back to 100 way faster than before. However, something a lot of people don't realize about it is it does not work in Storm. Anytime you take damage outside your own fall damage, Guzzle Juice will stop working. So if you're in zone, do not use the Guzzle Juice as it will automatically stop working.
You won't get any HP.
Another big change this season was the fact that snipers do not do 200 damage to the head. The max the gold one could do is 198, which is really not a terrible change if you ask me. I like the fact that you can no longer get 200 to zeroed, but it is a big nerf to snipers, and that is how snipers work in Chapter 3. As far as settings tips go, you guys may have noticed that I've been on DX12 for a lot of these clips. For some reason, DX12 is really good this season. I think Nick A30 said it's because the Unreal Engine 5 that they upgraded to. So my tip is to try it out and see how your frames are. Additionally, if your frames are not that great, use performance mode with either high or low meshes, and use Tritanope 10 at 150% brightness. This is what I recommended in my recent settings video guide. Hopefully you guys watched that. If you have not, go click on it. It's a great video. Regardless, those are the settings that I recommended that make your game look the best and perform the best, no matter what your PC is. Before we get to the kind of weird tips, tips 26 and 27 are 2 more sliding ones that I forgot. I'm sorry. First is that in the Daily Bugle, you could actually slide through the weird windows. There's a hole at the bottom, and you can slide through that. On top of that tip, if you are in zone and you want to get into circle quicker, build up really high on ramps and then rotate them twice so it's going downwards. That way you can slide down while turbo building and get really good momentum.
It's way faster than walking.
Finally, these sort of random tips are that if you have a victory crown in-game, that is what you get from winning the last match, you can drop it and pick it up and it will show your name in the kill feed. So if you guys are weird like me and you want free promotion or just to flex the fact that you have a victory crown, spam drop it and pick it up like the losers we all are. Tip 29, still very random, I don't know why I'm putting it at this spot. It is to ask your teammate to heal you with a med mist while you're popping shields. Again, I don't know why I thought of this. I was watching my friend Jaith and I saw his teammate do it. That way he could pop shield while his teammate got him extra white HP.
It's genius!
And now for the final tip, the smartest one of all of them. Tip 30, it is to use code JERIAN in the item shop. Overall guys, those are 30 simple Fortnite tips and tricks that you need to know in Fortnite Chapter 3. So if you guys enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code JERIAN. You guys know I appreciate each and every one of you. I've sort of been backed up on actually shouting new people out. I apologize for it, but I'm gonna add new names. Otherwise, that is it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.
Sound production.